Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tanvi and we talk all things career, social media and lifestyle. So if that is something you're interested in, then please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to make a good first impression whilst working from home, whilst working remotely. And this is something I'm literally going through as we speak. And so I thought it would be really helpful for me to just put my thoughts into a video and give you guys some good advice. So I just wanted to talk about kind of some things that I'm doing that have really helped and some things that work in general when kind of making a good first impression when you start a new job. Obviously, starting a new job is very daunting and scary, irrespective of the current situation, but having to do it all from home, I think makes everything twice as difficult, especially because for me personally, I thrive off being around people and kind of building those relationships both internally with my teams, but also with my clients. And so not being able to do that is definitely presenting some challenges. The first thing I want to say is just back yourself. This is touching upon imposter syndrome a little bit, where I felt as though I might not be qualified or adequate enough for the role that I've got, but actually it's quite a rigorous application process. You know, they've interviewed you to get there, they've seen your CV, like they've given you the job because they want you to have the job. And so once you're there, don't question yourself. You know, you've earned it, you deserve to be there. So yeah, just back yourself a little bit and just have some faith and confidence that you do deserve to be there and you do have what it takes for the role itself. I think it's really important to kind of know your strengths and really maximize on these. So for example, for me, I know my absolute biggest strength is my relationship and personal skills. I really wanted to make sure that I was utilizing that to my advantage, but also people knew that as well. And that came with kind of setting up loads of times and coffee catch-ups with people and just have them really get to know me, being very visible in meetings. So like not being afraid to speak up and contributing to the conversation, having my video turned on as well. I think it's so important to do that if you're working from home, guys. Don't be that person that sits there without your video on, with your mic on mute. Like if you really want to do well, you've got to make sure you're being visible, you're being proactive, you're contributing, and especially if you're new to the team, you really need to be a bit more proactive in the earlier weeks to ensure you're making a name for yourself and people know who you are. It will inevitably take longer to get to know people and kind of build those relationships because it's so much easier in the office where you can just be like, do you want to go for a walk, or do you want to go for a coffee catch up, or even just passing by people in the office forces you to speak to them. So you have to be a lot more proactive in kind of setting up that time and almost forcing yourself to just get to know people. I know it can seem a bit exhausting and a little bit of a chore to just like have those small talk, random conversations with strangers. You know, you've just got to rip it off like a band-aid. Just do it and you'll be thanking yourself for it in the coming weeks. I think you should also like educate yourself on the kind of culture of the firm, you know, how they are about working from home, how flexible they are in terms of the hours, you know, do people take lunch breaks, do we have team socials? I think it's good to just gauge the vibe of the team and the firm in general, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, but you're also kind of fitting in quite easily. The next piece of advice is that you should be very open-minded and willing to learn, and I think with any job, especially a new one, there's always going to be kind of more admin and monotonous tasks that you need to do, and just be really open-minded about them because I feel like that just comes with every job. Never think you're too senior or you're too good to be doing kind of admin tasks, because I do think that is all part of learning how to do the job and how to do the really complex and important tasks well. I think especially in finance jobs, like most of the things you learn will be very much on the job. So there isn't too much that you can do beforehand to prep yourself. So in that sense, you just need to be really eager and willing to learn and just say yes to a lot of things, take on a lot of opportunities, of course, within reason and setting your boundaries in terms of kind of capacity. And so you're not compromising your mental health. But I do think it's really important just to be very willing to take on a variety of roles and tasks because that's the best way you're going to learn. I've mentioned this in my previous video, but it's also really important to kind of establish your network and make a name for yourself. And this is really important because it will help you stay connected and you will have a wide range of network of people to go to if you have any questions, especially at the start when you might have like loads of different admin questions or about the systems or about processes or just how to do basic things. Don't be afraid to message people on LinkedIn to get them to introduce people in your team. Speak to HR about who your team might be, kind of what projects you're on, just to gauge like who you might be working with. And then don't be afraid to have like meetings with them before you actually roll onto projects, so they can just get to know you as well. Again, I just think you've got to put in a little bit more extra effort into building those relationships in order to stay connected and be visible. I also think when you join a firm, you will usually be assigned like a buddy or a people manager. And I think it's really important if you can kind of schedule some form of regular catch-ups, whether it's weekly, bi-weekly, or even monthly, because I feel like that will hold yourself accountable to having that regular catch-up, making sure you are making progress, set your goals and objectives with them from the get-go, and then you can always like track your progress against that. I also think it holds them accountable, because a lot of the time, if they're more senior to you, especially if they're your manager, they're going to be really, really busy, and they might not really care for you as much, as harsh as that sounds, because they quite literally don't know you. So again, in that sense, it holds them accountable to kind of check in on you and keep up to date on your progress as well. I think a good thing to do would also be to kind of connect with people who are the kind of the same grade or level as you, not necessarily even in your team or your business unit. That also just helps you to create a network of people in other business areas, whether it's future potential opportunities if you want to look to do something different, but also just someone who's a bit more objective and outside of your division. It would be cool to get to know people who, you know, you're not going to be working with and seeing every single day. It's good to kind of really branch out your network in that sense. And I guess the last thing I want to say is just the best way to kind of make a good impression and make a name for yourself is honestly just to be yourself. And I think that also means, you know, talk about your hobbies and your interests and what you do in your spare time. I know people don't often like to kind of cross the boundary between work and personal life, but I do think, especially if you're working from home, it's really important that people actually get to know you and what you're about, because you do have those sorts of conversations when you're in the office where it is like, oh, what are you doing tonight? Have you got any plans for the weekend? And if you don't force yourself to have those conversations when you're working remotely, people will honestly just look at you like a robot. Like, you've come to work, you do your work and you leave. And I think a big part of enjoying your job is enjoying the people who you work with. And at the end of the day, if you're new to a team, they're not going to know anything about you. So I think it's really important that you also don't be afraid to kind of talk about things you do outside of your job, so they can really, really get to know you on a personal level. And also don't be afraid to ask your colleagues as well about kind of their culture, their family. Obviously don't ask really invasive questions straight away, but I think it's really important to have those kind of open conversations, especially from like a diversity and inclusion perspective, to talk about different cultures and views. And that's how you really get to know people at the end of the day. So I guess last and most important point is just to truly be yourself. And you know, they have chosen you for the job because you are you and you are yourself, and that is what you need to be bringing to work every single day. So yeah, I hope that video was helpful. So yeah, if you found that useful, please don't forget to like it, comment any other tips and advice you might have that will also help other people, because I'm sure there's loads of things that I've also missed or not even thought about, and it will also help me as well. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you like my videos. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.